Symbolic History Through Sight and Sound. 5. The Search for Rome. Thou stranger, which for Rome in Rome here seekest, and naught of Rome in Rome perceivest at all, these same old walls, old arches which thou seest, old palaces, is that which Rome men call. Behold what wreck, what ruin, and what waste, and how that she, which with her mighty power tamed all the world, hath tamed herself at last, the prey of time, which all things doth devour. The English poet Spenser, about 1590, lines echoed from Spain, 1610, Quevedo. Buscas en Roma a Roma, oh peregrino, y en Roma misma Roma no la hallas. Both translating the French of Du Bellay from 40 years before Spenser. Nouveaux venus qui cherchent Rome en Rome, et rien de Rome en Rome n'aperçoit. Rome de Rome est le seul monument, et Rome a vaincu seulement. Du Bellay, varying the Italian of Castiglione 40 years earlier still. Superbi colli, e voi sacre ruine, che il nome sol di Roma ancor tenete, colossi, archi, teatri, opere divine, arches, theatres, divine works of that Rome which Goethe 200 years later would seek. Saget, Steine Miran, o sprecht, ihr hohen Paläste, ewiger Rome. Speak, you stones, and you high palaces, speak, eternal Rome. Though what speaks again and again is not, as with Greece, the primary phenomenon, but the historical reverberations, Piranesi, Monteverdi's court of Nero and Poppea, the regal pomp and arcane luxury, while we range the empire, Sabratha, Palmyra. Returning to the Roman Hellenism Nero loved. When Rome spoke to Gibbon, he was looking out over the Forum, from the steps of what was once the Capitol. This view, with sheep grazing then, was before him, and at his back, from the church of Araceli, a basilica raised like so many on classical columns, came the chanting of the barefoot friars. Why not a hymn by Fortunatus? That anomaly moved him to write the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. For it is always over the Dark Age gulf that Rome looms most compellingly, giants in the earth in those days, as the Anglo-Saxon wanderer broods, this world through the wisdom of God has wasted, so the pleasure of the proud has utterly perished, and the wonder work of giants crumbles worthless. Classical arts and lore first came to the West, encapsulated in monastic Christianity. This mosaic bust of Saint Victor in Milan. Yet even in that rendition to the timeless and spaceless, inherited suavities attest a vanished earthly command. In the words of Yeats, a more gracious time has gone. Though of the music that ravished Greece and Rome, we have only snatches, an epitaph of Saikilos, as long as you live, be cheerful. A time when wine and love and poetry and every spring and grove were sacred to a god, Horace. Gratia cum nymphas geminisque sororibus audet ducere nuda choros, which Johnson rhymes, the sprightly nymph and naked grace the mazy dance together trace. But the search for Rome cannot bog down, though Rome almost did, in vain regret for the soft arts of the Hellenistic twilight. How to summon from the shades the might of Rome itself? The art road was easier when the search was for Greece. There a sheer vitality declares and celebrates itself. Not the Acropolis only, but drama, philosophy, even history, as the Greeks lived and told it. Take the voice of Pericles. We are the school of Hellas. Wonder unending of after ages shall be ours. We have made sea and land the highway of our daring, and everywhere for evil or good left deathless monuments. Where Rome escapes from its monuments, its historians, even from its poet Virgil, leaves us burdened with the gloom of its own shadow, struggling in a world which, like Lucretius' universe, wears out and breaks down. In this way the walls, too, of the great world around us shall wear out and come to ruin, stormed by successive years and time's decay. Tacitus, Rome's greatest historian, records, I have to present in succession the merciless biddings of a tyrant, incessant prosecutions, faithless friendships, the ruin of innocence, the same causes issuing in the same results, and I am everywhere confronted by a wearisome monotony in my subject matter. How shall we fasten on the form that vaulted over that failure, not just the wide arch of the ranged empire, but the morale that held it, in the words of Pliny, the boundless majesty of the Roman peace, immensa Romanae pacis majestas. If there was a music of Roman power, it is lost. We have had to let Monteverdi restore it. And of course, he has restored, within outward pomp, the imperial decay. When Romans of that time thought to recover the truth about themselves, the strength which despotism and luxury had plainly compromised, they took a cue from Livy, that moralizing historian, or from Virgil, for that matter. They looked to their stern beginnings in military virtue, a time of legendary Horatios at the bridge, or of Troius Aeneas, pietate insignis et armis, though these beginnings are not so early as Troy, or even as Sparta and Athens. It is crucial that these disciplined, almost primitive foot soldiers are of the 4th or 3rd century BC, when the Greek cities are already in political decay. If we go back 200 or 300 more years, hear a scene from the tale of Theseus, we find the Greeks too keen for Ares, but with a spirit as different as Homer is from Virgil. This preconscious vibrance can only loosen as individuation ripens into Plato's fair and spangled state, where everything is ready to burst with liberty. But the Roman discipline seems to take up where the Greek left off. It is post-conscious, post-individual. Against the Macedonian phalanx, the Latin soldier with his shield, spear, and short sword was a fighting independence, self-bound into the moral collective. As if the classical world had two phases, the Roman, ordering and constrictive, against the exploratory and liberating Greek. So Hegel contrasts the multiform variety of Greece to the crushing destiny of Roman power. Under the weighty vaults of the Roman Thermae, Greek originals smile out, this Ludovici birth of Aphrodite, like Persephone, ravished to the underworld, sojourners in the darker shade. Here even the gods are stern, Juno constrained like her sober Romans, thus Jove in the Aeneid. Harsh Juno too, who now with terror tires earth, sea, and sky, will turn to kinder counsels, and with me cherish the Romans, masters of the world, the togaed nation. So it is decreed. The cyclical modification of human development seems here to confront us. It is a question of introspective personality with the somber weight it lays on the soul. The distinction is less of Greek and Roman than of early and late, though what the Greeks matured, the subjectivity which was their principle of decay, Hegel, and which the chromatic fragment from Euripides wonderfully expresses. The Romans had to contend with, had to order. Almost any head from the 4th century BC down would present us as does this Pompeian one from the Villa dei Misteri, 1st century BC, with self-awareness like a palpable thing. And the leap back to almost any before 500 BC gives the effect of having opened a drain from which that shadowing selfhood pours to leave the crystal clarities of the tribal and pre-personal of myth. If only a comparable music could be picked up from the groves and columns of Olympia. In fact, the two phases had been run through on Italian soil by those puzzling Etruscans, whose non-Indo-European language and mysterious origin, more Thucydides Tyrrhenians than Herodotus Lydians, did not prevent their paralleling almost from year to year the Greek maturation of consciousness, so that this smiling head, or the contemporary tomb paintings from Tarquinia, where